likely that the convention would, without a hitch, endorse the incumbent senator yet again. Or maybe there would be a hitch. Some of us began talking about why we were there. Why had we pulled ourselves away from other responsibilities on this Saturday morning? Was it just to sit and listen to political speeches? Was it simply to rubber stamp our state senator? Actually, we wanted to do more than that. We wanted to be heard. We all asked, why are we Republicans nominating this guy once again when we can't trust him to represent us when he goes to St. Paul? This senator had fought for his country as a Marine in Vietnam. I will always honor him for that service. And because so many others honored him too, he had been elected to the Minnesota State House of Representatives in 1972. He had moved up to the state Senate in 1982, and by the time of the District 56 convention, he had been in the state legislature for nearly 3 decades. Yet during that time, his voting record had changed, and we, the people, his constituents, wanted now to make our voices heard. His 28 years in power seemed long enough. The problem was that this senator had come to embrace a go-along, get-along mentality in the legislature, and he took the same attitude toward the growth of our state government. The Democrats were large and in charge in St. Paul, and the senator seemed a little too willing to accept his lesser status as part of the Republican minority. Not only that, but he had also become known as a safe vote for crucial legislation that the Democrats wanted to push. By gaining his token Republican vote, they could say that their bill was bipartisan. That veneer of bipartisanship put a Minnesota nice front on the hard-edged leftism emanating from the Twin Cities. And St. Paul and Minneapolis were then happy, of course, to take their orders from the even more distant bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. Our senator supported the profiled learning curriculum, brushing aside repeated attempts by parents like me to speak to him about our concerns. We phoned, we wrote letters, we made personal visits. When he would agree to see us, we showed him example after example of the faulty curriculum, including the dumbed-down tests and the politically correct guideline documents produced in St. Paul. We told him that parents, teachers, and taxpayers in his district were concerned that our kids needed rigorous academics, not liberal and secular values, attitudes, and beliefs imposed by the state. In addition, the senator had changed his voting record on important social issues. He had once taken a pro-life stance, but not anymore. He had even proposed a bill to install a bust of former Supreme Court Justice Harry Blackmun in the state capitol. Blackmun was a famous Minnesotan, to be sure, but he was particularly beloved by liberals because he had authored the Supreme Court's infamous 1973 Roe v. Wade decision, trampling state laws and legalizing abortion nationwide. And that was an unprecedented decree, lacking constitutional substance. Blackmun absurdly declared that the basis for the Roe v. Wade decision could be found in the penumbras or shadows of the Constitution. In other words, Blackmun's justification for legalizing abortion was made out of thin air. So why was the senator supporting a special honor for Blackmun? Why was he lionizing the champion of abortion on demand? Indeed, on all the big issues that my friends and I cared about, the senator was 100% wrong. In the meantime, being the Democrats' favorite Republican, the senator had a cushy deal in the state legislature. In fact, there was just one possible obstacle to this symbiotic relationships going on forever. He had to win re-election in his Republican district, and that meant he had to survive Republican nominating conventions, such as this one in Matamidi, every election year. So that had been his challenge: how to vote reliably left in St. Paul to keep his power broker friends there happy, and then how to double-talk right back home to win the votes of local citizens. As my friends and I caucused in the back of the auditorium, we thought, well, let's figure out a way to let the senator know we're not happy with his voting record. We need to make him realize he has to pay more attention to the folks back home and to their views than to the wishes of his liberal Democrat overlords in St. Paul. We need to ask him some tough questions, get him on record, and make him commit to some conservative stances. We need to turn up the heat, as they say, and hope that he sees the light. But then a friend pointed out that the only sure way to capture his attention, to convince him we weren't just a small speed bump on his path to another term, was actually to run against him. We'd have to put up a candidate to challenge him on the floor of the district convention. We'd have to present an alternative candidate to the Republican.